All right. Well, we apologize for the technical difficulties. We're going to hit the record button here so that way we can record this for those of you that maybe we lost during the delay. But I'd like to welcome Stacy Anderson Cook and Candace Sears from the Montgomery County ESC. And also Sherry Wickline and Ms. Allison Rudnicki are also here because they are going to be serving as points of contact for our students that are on SchoolsPLP. Also, Amy Greskow, ELA teacher at Tippecanoe Middle School, will also be serving as a point of contact for SchoolsPLP students. So at this time, I'm going to turn things over to Stacy Anderson Cook to start the orientation. And Stacy, I just want to make sure, because I think we've had some issues with hosting and who's not hosting and that. Are we recording right now?
Let me make sure. It does.
Yep.
Yes, it looks like we are.
All right, thank you.
Well, first, I just want to thank you for coming out tonight and welcome you. Thanks for coming to learn about your child's online learning platform, the SchoolsPLP. As you said, I'm Stacy Anderson Cook, and I'm with Candace Sears from Montgomery County ESC. We've partnered with SchoolsPLP and your school district, Tip City, to help provide a remote learning option for you and your families. So we know this decision probably was difficult, but we hope tonight, just by coming out and seeing a little bit about what SchoolsPLP is like, we can ease your minds a little and hopefully answer some of your questions. So I'm going to go into the website a little bit just to show you what it looks like. Everybody can see my demo screen. Okay, so you will, it will say Tip City SchoolsPLP when you get your own URL and your username and your login information. And when you log in, very easy, put your username. I'm going to just do a demo school here. I just want to talk to parents first. You can log in as a student and using the same username and password. You can log in as a parent and see the data dashboard. Okay, it looks exactly the same. I'll log in real quick so you can see both of them. But right here is where you'll land as soon as you log in, students and parents. There are a few things that aren't here that are on the student side, only because you won't be going into any of the work, but you can see all the courses that your students enrolled in. You can see their progress, their grades so far. You can track their progress with the assignments that have been pushed out to them. So if they have a week's worth of lessons, they should be on pace to complete those, or it will indicate here with the bar. The gray bar is where they should be. If there's a red bar and it's a little shorter, that means they're falling behind it. So I'm going to scroll down here. If they're on track, it should look more like that, especially on a Friday, right? Sometimes the bar is short, and it's okay if they're both short. That just means it's early on in the assignments, but they're on pace. But you want a green bar, number one, and you'd like it to be as long as the gray bar. It kind of aligns with the student, what the expectation is with completing the assignments and passing the assignments, and what is the expected pace. And the parents can look at, by clicking on any one of the courses, you can see kind of an overview of a pacing guide and what will be expected as time goes on from the beginning of the course to the end of the course. You know, some are year long, and in the high school years, some of those are semester courses, but it gives you an idea. And each lesson is a day's worth of work. I'm going to go back out here. Also in the data dashboard, there's a report card. And just gives you a running score of all the courses, where they are in that progress again, far behind or behind or on track. these are just demos and no one's working in there, so a lot of them are falling behind. Their grades so far, instructional days, hours logged, and so forth, lessons finished. You can kind of just keep an eye on what your child is doing. And then there's daily activity. And in this spreadsheet here, in this table, you can see each day moving across the minutes that they worked, the lessons finished, the mastered first try attempts, and login sessions. So this is just when they log in, the computer can be sitting there idle, but the work actually indicates that they've engaged in the content. And of course, we want to make sure they're not guessing, since it's an online platform, make sure they're really trying, make sure they're getting the right content to be successful on the test. So if they can master the first time, it's great, or at least by the second time. So when the teacher gives it back to them and some extra work, they're doing well. Now, if you log in and you get this message, that means the teacher has messaged, or the mentor has messaged your student, and you won't be able to do anything until you log in as the student and they listen to the message or respond to the message. They can acknowledge, or they can write them back. So I'm going to log out as the parent and log in again now as a student, same username and password. So you don't have to have anything different. So you're going to log in now and you'll see same screen. So they have all the same data reports. And I didn't hover over here. When you hover over this overall progress, it'll list all the grades and the running averages. Okay. And then the three things that are different, there's a send message, because only the students can message to the teacher and the mentor. There's a need help tab, and this is a real handy tool. You can tap on it, and any questions that you might have, you can just put it in the chat, and there's, let's say chat in the search column, and it'll give you all kinds of solutions to try. It's pretty well done. And over here, there's a work on this course tab. So we're going to do that. I'm going to scroll down. We're going to go into work on a first grade science course. And I just want to touch on a couple things that I think are really important to know. And, you know, most of all, parents, this is a new device. Kids do pick things up quickly, but, you know, take a little time when you first get your login information and just click around and get familiar with it. Okay. I'm going to clean this up a little bit by just closing these little carrots on the side. And if you look on this side, this is your table of contents. And sometimes teachers will hide some of the work so that they're not working in the last unit of the entire curriculum. They want you to start in the beginning. But the course overview will take you back to that first tab that I showed you with the dates and the pacing for all the lessons that'll be turned in and the scores that the student will get. They're all listed. That's the course overview. The course resources, if I click on this, it'll open up a folder of some really nice resources for the parent and the teacher. Okay, and I'm just going to open that up just so you see. I'm not going to go through it all because you'll have time to look at it. But this particular course has a 170-page guide just to help parents understand the curriculum, understand the how it's developed, how to develop questioning, and just a lot of background about the online curriculum, how they're developed, and how you can help your child learn from the course. I'm just going to scroll a little bit, but they might show you how to put together some science notebooks. It will kind of break down for you the different components of the course. Okay. So I advise that you do take a look at those. I'm going to go back to the course now and close that up and look at a lesson. And you notice that, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a little yellow highlight that will just show where I was last. When you log in, students, it'll pick up right where you left off. You don't have to remember, was I lesson 1 or 2? It'll all be highlighted and it'll just pick up where you need to be. Okay, so I'm going to open that up a little wider so you can see. I'll close that one. Come back down here. I wanted to go into the next lesson. Yeah, the lessons start out, they have watch it's and read it's and teach it's and show it's and lots of different modes and components to deliver instruction online, because this will be the main source of how they get their their content. So you want to watch the videos and you want to let the teach itself. I'll play that one today because these are kind of fun too. They have narrated teaching moments for the students to listen to. I'll enlarge that.
Hello, thanks for joining me today for our lesson about terrestrial habitats. In today's lesson, we will identify terrestrial habitats.
Just to give you a taste.
Have you ever heard of the word habitat? What is a habitat?
Okay, so just that's what I'm doing. The teacher might be a narrated character. They usually follow along with the text. There's usually bolded words and highlighted stuff like that. Then they would give you a read it that is supported in that content that you watched in the narrated piece from the teach it. So then they'll go into some read it's, and I want to show you this little tool because this is a first grade course. I know first graders are becoming good readers, but they can click on these different tools to have different parts of the text read to them. So the little hand would read all of the text. I like this next one because if I click that.
Ecology, terrestrial habitat, objective. You will identify terrestrial habitats. Introduction.
The pointer, that's it. It'll just read everything on the web page if I click that little hand. If I highlight a word and just click the arrow, it'll just read the one
Examples.
word. There's other tools here too that you can get yourself familiar with and try them out. You just highlight first and click the tool. Here's a translating tool. And I have it set for Spanish, so it'll translate to Spanish. Okay.
Animales.
And I can highlight again and I can go to the dictionary and so forth. So there's highlighting tool, but you just highlight the word and then click the tool and it will guide you through that. And there's some neat helps over here. I can say how using the read aloud tool. How do I translate? And it'll guide you back through it. But notice some of these things are highlighted because I've clicked on these and it's recognizing that I've worked in this lesson. So as I complete lessons, I'm going to encourage you to always just hit the next key. That little button up here says next activity, because it'll automatically take you to the next piece. Okay. Now the show it's are optional, but I like them. I think you can do these online or offline. Just so you know, some of these things they suggest printing different things. You don't have to do things that way. You can be creative. You can use screenshots, download and screenshot something. You can use a piece of paper and fold it in quarters and do the assignment like that. We really encourage kids not to be printing all these things out because it's really not necessary. The instructional pieces are there and any of these show it activities can be done on and offline. Okay. I'm going to close that up. And I'm going to go back and just show you one last thing. Fourth grade. I want to show you a little fourth grade. Again, we're going to that's that overview. It'll just have all the assignments. If I go back to work on this course, remember those words, work on this course. That's how they start the work. And if you get blocked because there's a message, you have to acknowledge the message. Okay, I'm going to go to the next activity. There's a coloring activity, and then there's a quiz. That's what I want to show you. So sometimes it'll say before you start clicking, make sure you have enough time to complete the quiz. The maximum amount of time for this quiz is 45 minutes. So it'll tell you if there's a time limit on the test or the quiz, and just kind of help your child understand what to do with that. And then they would do the activity, and then they would, let me see if I can get into this one. So right in here, I would just answer the questions and most of the assessments are going to be something like this. So they would fill in the lines. I'm not reading them for real, but I would click it. And then when I hit submit, it'll grade it for me. If there are any extended response questions, the teacher might have to get back to the student and then grade it. But the teacher will get a message when there's an extended response question that needs to be answered. And then I can submit my test at the bottom. I think I need to be finished with it before I can do that. But down at the bottom, it says submit all answers. It says I haven't answered some, so it's going to remind me and prompt me, but you have to select an answer for every question, and then you just hit submit. And that's how you turn in a quiz. Okay. Well, I think I walked you through the main parts here. I'm going to log out. Do that, leave. All right. And I do recommend that you use the logout key. I don't know if you noticed me. I was going over that blue thing. I have noticed a little bit of finickiness if I don't log out that way. I know some of us just want to quit. We want to go and X in the tab. I recommend using the logout tab because for some reason it wants to think that you're still in the system, even when you're not. So, and then logging in can be a little difficult. All right. Well, thank you for taking a look at SchoolsPLP. I know you'll be getting your login soon, but I'll let your district administrators talk to you about that. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thanks, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Parents and maybe even some students who are on here, I've been trying to monitor the questions as Stacy has been introducing you to the platform and trying to answer those as best I can as you're going through. A couple of items as far as login information. We're working to have that login information out to you tomorrow. At the very latest, it would be Monday. I know that might cause a little bit of anxiety or concern because students start school on Monday in-person learning. Please know that with SchoolsPLP, things are self-paced. So you're able to get started. If you wanted to work on a Saturday afternoon, the student could work on a Saturday afternoon. If they wanted to work at 10:30 at night, they could work on their SchoolsPLP work at 10:30 at night. It is all self-paced. There are suggested guidelines, or excuse me, deadlines that will show you whether you're on pace to finish by the semester or not on pace to finish by the end of the semester. So those are things that your points of contact will be monitoring as we go through. And again, if you missed the introduction, the points of contact for grades K through 5 and for gifted students will be Mrs. Amy Greskow. And then for students in grades 6 through 12 will be Mrs. Sherry Wickline. And then for any special education students, that'll be Mrs. Allison Rudnicki. And Ms. Rudnicki, Mrs. Wickline, and Mrs. Greskow will be reaching out to students and parents to introduce themselves and make them aware of their contact info and that they're their point of contact going forward. SchoolsPLP will also be reaching out with the mentors and the teachers. So your students will have really 3-point people to help troubleshoot and solve any issues that they may have as they experience issues or hopefully no issues in SchoolsPLP. You can also reach out to me either through the info@tipcity.k12.us email address or directly. My email is sverhoff@tipcity.k12.oh.us. So as I look through the chat here, just want to see if there's any other questions that maybe we didn't address. So a couple questions here about special education services, and we uploaded modifications and accommodations for students yesterday. So things like extended time or modified tests, those things have been entered in with your student when they were registered. There was a question earlier about verifying whether or not you have officially enrolled in SchoolsPLP. And what I would say to that is, if you receive my email on Tuesday with this link, then you are enrolled in SchoolsPLP. If you did not, we are updating our list daily. I will send out another email tomorrow, and hopefully that'll include your email. If it doesn't, please send me an email directly or send an email to info@tipcity.k12.oh.us, and we'll get you on that email distribution list so that we know that we've got the correct email. There may be a discrepancy in PowerSchool, and that could be the issue, that we don't have the correct email address. As far as hours per week, there's a couple other questions here about hours per week that a student should be working. The attendance guidelines from the state of Ohio are very flexible for remote learning. It's really about assignment completion. And yes, we're going to be checking to see that you're logging in and that you're on pace. There's actually a dashboard that we see as administrators when we log into SchoolsPLP that shows us how many students are on pace, how many students aren't on pace, how many students are disengaged, even partially disengaged. So that'll be a telltale sign that we would share with the point of contacts, and even they have access to that dashboard, that they would then be reaching out to you and saying, hey, you're doing a really great job, you're ahead of schedule, or hey, we need to spend a little more time with this, and maybe this evening you need to do a little bit more than you usually have done in the past. So a question about Chromebooks, a great question. And there was a Google form that was in the email that I sent on Tuesday that allowed you to request devices. So if you haven't completed that form, please do so.
Google has this result.
And after we get that form figured out, we will set up times for you to come pick up Chromebooks. We're going to try to get that established by early next week. So our goal is that anybody who has a Chromebook or needs a Chromebook would have that in their hands by Wednesday of next week. Question about who do you contact if the website is down? So if you're having technical difficulties with SchoolsPLP, reach out to your point of contact, or reach out to me, or reach out to our tech coordinator, Brad Bush, and we will contact SchoolsPLP and work on getting those technical difficulties figured out. We actually know all too well about technical difficulties, as we experienced a little bit earlier. We'll get it figured out, though. We'll keep troubleshooting things. If there are additional emails that you would like added for students, update your contacts in PowerSchool, and we will pull those contacts and make sure that we've got the correct emails. Question about starting school Monday. Yes, if you have your login information, which again, we're gonna try very hard to have that out on Friday, tomorrow, then you would be able to start on Monday. You actually would be able to start as soon as you get that login information. Question about devices. If you have a laptop at home, yes, you can use that laptop and you don't need a Chromebook. That's part of the Google form, and really that helps us out because that frees up a device for another student that doesn't have a device. So if you have a personal device at home, it will work, and we encourage you to use that so that we can utilize our resources in areas where students don't have a Chromebook.
It actually runs on tablets as well. So if they have a tablet, that's also good. Just about any device, even
Perfect.
your phone, but we don't recommend that.
Great. So iPads will work as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think at this point, I'll continue to monitor the chat here for a little bit, but we'll go ahead and pull things off of video here. And thank you for your time this evening. There is a recording of this, and we'll make sure that you can access it on our YouTube live stream page. Thank you, everyone.